On this DVD, John shares what God has shown him taking place over the next 10 years, including unemployment skyrocketing and the dollar drastically losing value, value of rural land increasing as people flee big cities due to food and water shortages, rare weather patterns including tornadoes with winds over 350 miles per hour and hurricanes spanning over 500 miles, an assassination attempt on President Obama's life by Islamic extremists, and Islam's efforts to infiltrate the U.S. government.
My guest, John Paul Jackson, is a proven prophet. As a matter of fact, John Paul, before we tell them of what you've seen, which is the next 10 years and what's going to happen in the future, just so they get to know you a little bit better, the Space Shuttle Challenger.
Right.
What did you see about that?
I saw it actually exploding before it ever was launched. And so I actually called NASA and told them there were some problems, told them what I saw, and I got the answer was, well, Mr. Jackson, thank you very much for your concern. Thank you for calling. There's thousands of check and balances and fail-safe systems, and nothing's going to happen.
That must have been pretty frustrating.
It was frustrating. I thought, well, it's probably me. They're probably right. I'm probably wrong. Probably my dream really wasn't worth it. I mean, or vision wasn't really what I thought it was. And then so when it hit the next day, I was just shocked. My whole staff was shocked because I told them. I drew it out. I drew pictures of it, everything.
Listen, when you were on my radio broadcast, we talked about Netanyahu from Israel.
Yes.
What did you say?
Well, the last time I was on your program, we talked about Netanyahu and who would be the next prime minister of Israel.
Right.
And you helped me reveal that Netanyahu was going to be the next prime minister of Israel and that he was chosen by God to make very, very difficult decisions.
And as I recall, you said it was going to be in a difficult period of time.
Yes, a very difficult period of time for Israel.
Now, when you were 13, you should have died. Mm-hmm. What happened?
Well, when I was 13, I had encephalitis. I came down with encephalitis, which is a swelling of the lining of the brain. You can take a look online and you'll find out that there's been several people, well-known people, just in the last 10 years that have died from it. And I should have died from it. In fact, I did die from it. I left my body, had an out-of-body experience. I saw my mother and father and doctor and pastor crying and looked down at me laying there on the bed and I wasn't there. I mean, my body was there, but I wasn't there.
You were observing it. And what was your mother doing?
My mother was crying out to God, reminding him of a promise that he made to her before I was even conceived, that I would speak the plans of God, I would have an 11th hour ministry, and that I would proclaim the gospel of Jesus Christ to people.
And actually, as you explained it, an angel came to her.
Right, an angel. She had had a miscarriage. And so an angel came to her and spoke to her and said, you grieve no longer, you're going to have a child, you'll name him John Paul, and he will have an 11th hour ministry, and even your pregnancy will be a sign of that 11th hour ministry. And she was pregnant with me 11 months, documented 11 months.
And in my opinion, the purpose that John Paul Jackson is on planet Earth, the reason that his life was spared, the reason that an angel visited his mother, is for him to reveal what is going to happen in the next 10 years. And it's going to happen in a number of areas. In fact, John Paul Jackson, you only spoke privately of it, and just recently you started speaking about it, and almost as fast as you're speaking, the things are coming to pass. John Paul Jackson, some of the things that you've seen about our economy, I'm sure everyone's interested in that. Tell us a few.
Well, some of the things I saw was the issue of the corruption that would be taking place, and there's way more corruption still going to happen and will be exposed. There were some things regarding the bailout program that was announced last fall. Before it happened, the Lord showed me that was going to be happening, and there would be even more bailouts that would happen. There would be programs that would be implemented that would be more injurious to our economic structure than had previously been thought. But there would be a surprise element in them, and they would not help our economy at all. In fact, it would be very destructive to the economy. The Lord began to talk to me about this a man who would be elected, who would be a savior. He would see himself as a savior, a liberator of some type, and that in that he would then seek forth to put in programs that would be, again, injurious to the economic structure of the United States. And those programs would be designed to help the people he was trying to liberate, and it would not be a good thing.
Now, you saw some specific dates. What were they?
I saw year 2010 was going to be very, very difficult, especially as you get further into 2010. I saw the year, I kept hearing an angel saying in a deep, loud voice, the woes of 2012, the woes of 2012, the woes of 2012. I don't know what those woes are, said the angel did not tell me what those woes, but it was more, there was more emphasis on those woes than almost anything else that I was given.
Hello, Sid Roth here with John Paul Jackson, and John has been given a vision from God of what will happen in the next 10 years. And in the geophysical, there are some amazing things about ready to happen. What did you see?
Some of the things I saw that were going to be coming were quite shaking, and one of them was the issue of drought and the issue of water becoming very, very expensive. And at some point in the future, there will be cities that water from the tap, right from your kitchen faucet, will be more expensive than oil is. So it's not like talking about going to the store and buying a gallon of water. We're talking about water that's normally fairly inexpensive becoming very expensive. In fact, some of the things that I saw was there would be various cities in the United States that would have to evacuate thousands of people because there wasn't enough water in the reservoirs and in the aquifers that they get the water from to give water to all the people.
What about food?
I saw a blight coming to hybrid seeds, and that would bring a type of famine to the United States. So the hybrid seeds that have been propagated by various large, huge corporations, supposedly resistant to all kinds of things. There's something in the DNA structure of how they've propagated everything, and it will actually allow for a blight to come. Some of the seeds won't break the ground. Some of the seeds will break the ground but never bear fruit. And so you'll end up seeing maybe green out in the fields. There'll be enough rain for them in certain areas, but they won't come to seed. So there won't be the corn that would be normally in the ear. There won't be the wheat that is normally in the head of wheat. And so that creates a major food shortage.
Will that increase crime?
Which would increase crime, right? Crime.
What did you see?
Well, I saw crime increasing for several reasons. One, economically, because there's so many people unemployed, for double-digit unemployment. And I've been talking about as high as over 12% unemployment before it's all said and done. And that was way before. Right. The unemployment at that time was 4.5%, I believe, when I started talking about it. But I also saw unemployment because of the economic decisions that are going to be made, but also saw the food shortage then further harming the unemployed because the food would be so expensive they couldn't afford to get it. And so then you end up seeing people actually robbing food trucks that would carry food to grocery stores. And the day would come when there would have to be armed guards riding with food trucks in order to keep the food truck from being waylaid or hijacked.
Sounds to me like there's going to be a great deal of fear going on.
Yeah, one of the plans of the enemy, well, there's going to be fear because of just God saying, I'm God, you're not. And
right.
wanted to return the fear of God to the church first and foremost, and then to the nation. But one of the plans of the enemy is going to try to capitalize on that fear. So you have enemies of the United States that are going to be doing issues. Both China as well as the Islamic community are going to be doing things to the United States. They're going to be to generate fear. And so they're going to be doing things with the school systems. They're going to be doing things with malls, shopping malls. There'll be explosions in shopping malls that will make people afraid to go to high traffic areas like malls would be.
As a matter of fact, you saw a lot of malls closing down.
I did. I saw a lot of malls closing down, and interestingly enough, because of the storms that happened in some of the cities, the malls were actually used as housing for the people who didn't have homes.
And then you saw a migration of people out of the big cities.
I did. I saw a migration of people out of big cities because of the fear that was there. There was fear of what would happen in the school systems. There was fear of what was going to be happening in just high traffic volume areas. Various bombs that would go off and people would be killed, and so people were afraid to go in. Almost like suicide bombers in Israel when they had suicide bombers on the buses and things, which, by the way, is going to be increasing. But it is going to be happening here in America. Not just suicide bombers, but actually bombs that would be left in various places that would detonate at a certain time. People are going to be moving to rural areas in order to keep their children safe from the urbanization and fear issue.